So good day guys, and this is AJ Nervous, and I'm going to present today objects and scenes. So before we start, I'm going to give a little introduction into our topic. Mostly this introduction pertains to how well humans are able to perceive and make sense of the stimuli given to them. And human perception is unparalleled and difficult to replicate on an artificial level. And there are there are reasons why this happens. So the first reason is the inverse projection problem. Stimulus is ambiguous in the sense that other stimuli can elicit the same figure. For example, we have here this stimulus of circle and a rectangle bottom. There are numerous, as you can see in B, there are numerous shapes that could replicate this. For example, a 2D version of this, and also as seen as here, a snake-like figure going up on a pole could also elicit the same stimulus. As here in this diagram, a rectangular page, like when you're reading a book, can be elicited by different types of stimulus, such as a rectangular that is angled in a way, and also a rectangle that is farther from you, but bent at the same angle in a way that it would still look like like a page in a book. So the second problem is it is easy for humans to perceive or identify things that have been partially or hidden or even blurred. So as you can see, there are three pictures here of celebrities and their faces are blurred. And maybe you can name one out of three, two out of three, or even you can name all of them. But this is hard to replicate in an artificial intelligence level. And also, things that are partially hidden. For example, if a pencil is partially covered by a laptop, you could still tell that the thing being blocked by the laptop is a pencil. However, this is very hard to replicate in an artificial sense. So, the next problem is that objects look different from different points of view. So, for example, you see these figure A, B, and C. For you, it's easy to tell that these three are the same chair, but Uh, this is hard to replicate in an artificial sense because as you change the orientation of the chair, the stimulus changes, and it is difficult for artificial machines to adapt to that kind of change. So as you can, and also seen here in this GIF, you can see that this sculpture is, if you look at it at one side, it's a square, and another side is a circle. So this is what happens in a more raw manner to artificial machines when you present them these. Is that when you show them one side of a stimulus and another two sides of a stimulus or multiple sides of a stimulus, it cannot tell that this these angles and these viewpoints are actually from the same stimulus. So, perceptual organization. So, elements in the environment are recognized as a group, and this is done through grouping and segregation. So, we'll look at the first picture here. See the city skyline. Grouping is when distinct elements are perceived as a unit. So, for example, this building. You see this building? Um, all these parts, points, windows, they are seen together as one unit, so same from the same building. However, segregation is when you see that two particular stimuli do not belong to the same object. So you can tell apart that this building is not continued down by this building here. This you can tell that these 2 points are from different objects. So as seen here, and this is where Gestalt psychology comes in, is that this painting is made up of dots. However, you don't see this painting as purely a set of dots, individual dots. You see them together as a group of dots, and that they form an image in your retina. So Gestalt psychology starts with structuralism, which was spearheaded by Wilhelm Wundt. It distinguished sensation, which is a stimulation of senses, and perception, understanding of the sense information. And they say that structuralism points out that these these perceptions are guided by past experiences. However, in Gestalt psychology, which is an off-brand of structuralism, they say that they rejected the idea of adding up sensations and past experiences. And this was spearheaded by one of the primary components is Max Wertheimer. And one of the things that helped him think about Gestalt psychology and how structuralism could be improved through this type of Gestalt psychology is through first apparent movement. Apparent movement is the illusion of movement when there is actually none. So we have multiple examples here. So the story behind apparent movement is that when Max Wertheimer um, came off the train, he bought a stroboscope. So this is what a stroboscope is. So it's like a precursor to the modern GIF. So you get a bunch of pictures and you play it very fast, just like how GIFs work. And it shows here that and he realized that this horse looks like it's moving, but really it's not. It's just the pictures are just shifting positions quickly to give the appearance of movement. Other examples are the stock exchange ticker. You have an LED board, and you see these numbers flying across the screen. In reality, these numbers aren't actually moving. The 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 reason why it gives apparent movement is because different parts of the LED board are lighting up, which give this appearance of moving. And the more seen example is in video games such as Pac-Man. You see him opening his mouth up and down. But really, he's not actually moving his mouth. It's just that the as I said previously, the the screen you're looking at is just it's turning on and off certain parts of the screen, and this shows movement. And one of the things that he concluded is that the whole is different than the sum of its parts, because you can take these three and you can chop it up in frames. But if you look at these frames um, individually rather than as a whole, it doesn't make sense. But if you take them all together, it makes the illusion of movement. So the next one is illusory contours. So edges are perceived even when there is none. So as you can see three Pac-Man shape, and they are all positioned in a way that they face together. And this gives the illusion of a triangle. Even though there's really no triangle, but there's just three Pac-Man shaped figures that are just faced to each other. Another example is this. This is more apparent for me, at least, is that these Pac-Man shaped figures are faced to each other, and you can clearly see that there is a square. Like it is more pan compared to the triangle over here. But the thing is, there's really no square in between these figures. There's just this illusion of squares.